Hello, I'm gonna try this again. Oh, sorry about the camera moving. My name is Rachel. I am a knitter, I'm a crocheter, I'm a mom, I'm a teacher, and a wife, and I am filming today from a beautiful hotel room in the city of Philadelphia. I am here for an education consultant meeting, and I decided to share with you some of my knitting updates as well as avoid rambling in this particular video about some of my ventures that I'm engaging in with my knitting this week. So just to give you a quick little tour of the room. Ooh. Ah. So this is a trip I've made before, not just to this particular city. The last time I was in Philadelphia, I was actually here with my family. But the role that I have as an education consultant, occasionally I have to travel out of town, and it's given me the opportunity to stay in some hotels that I never would have picked before. So I'm quite pleased with the selection or the location and where we're at today, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's training. So with that said, I wanted to share with you how I prepared for today's trip or this weekend's trip. So anytime I travel out of town, I always think about how long am I going to be gone. If I'm going to be gone for like a day or two, I try to pick social knitting projects. So anything where I'm knitting, stockinette around, or something really small that doesn't really take a lot of my mental energy to focus on, where I can still socialize or interact with other people, or if I'm lacking mental energy, that I can actually engage with other things and not give it like much thought about what I'm doing. So this weekend's project I decided to bring with me are the socks that I've been knitting for the past couple of weeks. I haven't actively worked on them. Today is like the first time that I've spent more than like 10 minutes working on them, and 10 minutes is being very generous. I decided to on the plane because I was a little fatigued. I got up very early to fly out. And so since I was feeling a little fatigued, I didn't think it would be a good idea to bring a project that's going to require me to constantly check the knitting pattern and to confirm that I was on a certain stitch, or confirm that I needed to do X, Y, and Z, that if I was just knitting it around, it would be perfect. And for whatever reason, I truly wanted to knit more socks this particular month. No reason why, just wanted March Madness to be the month about socks. So I am happy that I am still working on this particular pair, and I'm so excited that I'm near the end. Just to refresh your memory, I am knitting the Vanilla is New Black pattern, where it's a cuff up and cuff down, a toe up and a cuff down pattern, where the reason why I made the selection was the hill. It has a very unique hill to it that I've never seen before, and I don't know even how to describe it. So I'm really am excited about that. And again, you should check it out. It's on Ravelry. It's not an expensive pattern. I believe I spent $5 on it, and you can get a discount if you buy two or more, unless a discount has expired. But it's really inexpensive. The pattern's been very clear in directions, and so I'm really glad I made the purchase. So I went ahead and purchased the, because I'm a toe up sock knitter, I prefer for some odd reason to knit my socks toe up, maybe because I can try them on as I go. And I noticed that with this particular sock that it's a little bit more of a snug fit, and I really like that. And whereas this first sock that I was working on, this one is a little bit more of a loose fit, but also I feel it would still stay on her foot. And I don't know if she's underneath her feet or anything like mine, but I tend to have like one foot is bigger than the other, and so, and wider. It's longer and wider, and so I'm hoping that the sock will fit her. Given how little yarn I'm using, I think I will have enough yarn to still knit a third sock in case as well. I had initially planned to knit her a pair of socks with this, but I decided, not a socks, sorry. I initially planned to use the leftover yarn to knit her a pair of gloves, fingerless gloves, but I think I'm going to save that for Christmas as well. And I have plenty of fingering weight yarn that would go with that. I decided to purchase the pattern by Petite Knit. The name of it escapes my memory. I think it's called like Penny. It has the word penny in it for whatever reason. But anywho, that's my goal, my second project I will be doing for my friend. So this is the first project where I have, in order to avoid second sock syndrome, because I heard so much about it where people, because I'm still fairly new to sock knitting. I've knit the purple, the yellow, the brown, and the multicolors, the stuff stripes. So those are four. So this is my fifth pair of socks that I've knitted. And so or that I'm knitting, I should say. So with all that said, I don't have enough experience or expertise in sock knitting where I can say for certain that, the idea of second sock syndrome is not going to happen. So I can avoid it and I don't have to deal with that where I start a sock and not finish it. I decided that once I got to the halfway point right before I'm going to start the heel, that I would stop and go ahead and cast on for the other sock and just knit it in around until I got to that same point and just finish with the second sock and then finish with the first one. My other thought is what I'm thinking of doing, and I would love to hear if anyone has thoughts on this, is that do the heel on this sock and then do the heel on that one, and then once I have the heel figured out, then go ahead and finish one sock and then finish the other. Because the heel, like I said before, is unique. I've never done this type of heel before, and the heel is not my strong suit when it comes to sock knitting. The afterthought heel is the most successful heel I've done. Oh, I forgot about my gray and white socks, or gray and gray socks. Those are my other ones. I forgot about that. I can't believe those came out really well. I wear those often, and that is just a vanilla toe up sock as well, if I remember correctly. Gosh, is that a toe up sock? I can't even remember. I have to look back at my Ravelry. But anywho, that's what's happening on my needles for traveling. I did I did bring another project with me. I'm lying. I bought two with me. But I recently, while I was at the airport, or on my way to the airport, one or the other, I had saw this pattern from Biscotte Yarn for a fingerless mitt where you can like remove the finger part, and it's just like you have a fingerless mitt and then you can put it back on, and then like, the cap. I can't think of what those not socks, but what those mittens are called, but they look like a pair of socks. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be perfect for the second pair of socks I'm knitting right now. But whether I'm going to do that, I don't know. So I have that on hold right now because it would really, I have the needle size, I have the size yarn for it, so it would be perfect, but we'll see. I also plan on knitting the Helen Stewart knit along that she has going on. I think it's called Make Along Birds 2024. I might be calling the pattern name incorrectly, but it's on Ravelry. It's a Helen Stewart pattern, and you use 4 skeins of fingering weight yarn. So this is going to be my first color. This is like in this icy blue. I know here, hopefully you can see it a little bit better. It's in this icy blue. This is a fingering weight Polyworth yarn that I purchased from Yarn Cafe. I mentioned several times in previous videos the yardage for it, but it's well over 400 yards. Usually the skeins of yarn will range between $15 for 50 grams and about $32 for 100 grams, give or take a gram or two. I really like the yarn. I have not used this yarn before. I just love how well it's dyed out, and I love what it looks like. So I really am excited to knit with it. I think it's going to be a great experience. So, and I thought it'd be perfect because I didn't have any other idea about what I was going to do with the yarn, because the issue is that with those 4 skeins of yarn that I bought from Yarn Cafe, I'm like, oh guys, this is a beautiful yarn. I'm going to make an Oslo hat. Well, I'm feeling a little Oslo hat outage at the moment where I've knit so many of them that I'm just not really in the mood to knit anymore. I knit enough of those and whatnot, and I haven't found a hat pattern where I'm just like, I have to knit that now. I am going to knit a Messelberg hat, but I have that reserved for other skeins of yarn as well. So anywho, with this yarn that I got from Yarn Cafe, I thought this would be perfect for it because the colors will go really well together. I have this bright ice blue that you see, but I also have the white. It's like a creamy white color. It looks almost like a turtle dove gray in certain light. And then, so I guess cream is not the right color, but it's like a turtle dove gray, then a little bit of a darker gray than a super dark gray. So I'm like, oh, that's perfect. And the way that she describes in the clue, pre-clue detail, it looks like the colors are going to be blended together. So I think it will work out well. And worst case scenario, if I don't like the way the colors are flowing, I can always frog it and I have 2 shawl worths of yarn that tend to fade into each other. But I really want to use those colors together regardless if it's not matchy. I don't need it to be. So anyway, those are the 3 projects I'm going to prioritize for the next few days. I know for a fact I will be able to finish these socks by the end of this weekend because I'm going to be sitting in meetings for the next few hours, and I tend to want to engage in the meetings. And I found that knitting helps me stay engaged because I'm not on my computer and doing everything else but listening to what's being shared with me. So I'm really looking forward to that particular knitting pan, and I'm in the middle of icing. So I'm sitting in this particular seat right now holding the phone. So I'm sorry if it's a little wobbly, but I shared with you all last week that I'm dealing with a little bit of tennis elbow. And I thought it was from my knitting. So last week I was sharing this and I thought it was from my knitting, but I think it's a combination of my knitting as well as how I'm sitting at my desk when I'm typing on a computer. I think between those two situations is the reason why I'm developing this particular issue. So I really need to think about how I'm going to sit at my computer and improve how I stretch. Especially if I have a whole day of where I'm sitting and typing, I really need to engage in yoga. And I have not consistently done that. I've been doing yoga about once, if I'm lucky, twice a week. And I really need to get in the habit of doing it 3 to 4 times a week because I find that it really helps stretch my muscles, especially, and it allows for a better knitting experience, a better work experience, as well as so many other things. Like I absolutely love yoga. So with all that said, I'm icing it right now. My hope is that my elbows will feel well enough where I can go home and continue working on the test knit. I've made some really great progress with the sleeve. I'm up to 7.5 inches right now, and my hope is to do the full 12 inches of the yarn because it's less than what the patterns calls for, but I decided to do 12 inches, and then I'm gonna do what she's calling for the sleeve, and then do 12 again on the other side because it's a superwash yarn, and I know it's gonna grow, and I don't want it to be on my knuckles. I want it to be a little bit past my wrist. I don't want to super stretch. I want to be able to stretch it out if I want to. So with that said, it should be sleeve number 1 should be done by the end of this month, and I should be done with the rest of it later on. The other piece is that I am playing Yarn Chicken. There's no denying it right now. I am definitely in a game of Yarn Chicken, and I don't know who's going to win, if it's me or the yarn. The fortunate thing is that I finished the collar, and that I know for a fact I have enough yarn for the sleeves. The question is about the body. And my hope is that the 2 skeins of yarn that I have, I can put into the body, and then I don't have to worry about buying more yarn, but we'll see. So my goal for this weekend, which I'm trying really hard not to do, is to go to a yarn store because I naturally, once I landed here, looked up to see how many yarn stores were in the vicinity of the hotel. And y'all, there's one within 10 minutes of walking distance of this hotel. Like seriously, like how could they do that to me? So my goal is not to go to any yarn store, and that if I do purchase any yarn, that it's only to finish a project and nothing else. So fingers crossed that I will actually do that. I don't know how that's going to work out. But yeah, that's it. That's happening with me. Thank you so much for listening to me share my current knitting projects. I have nothing to update about Angela's Crochets blanket. My hope is that I will have some active time of working on that in between May and July, because it tends to be pretty cold in our home in those months due to the use of AC, and we have big trees that are over our house, so that keeps the house cool as well. So I'm hoping to work on it more so than anything. I love crocheting, and I do miss having it, and I'm glad I didn't bring it with me because having a crochet project while traveling is just not feasible. But having a little sock pattern, I definitely love it. Once I'm finished with these socks, I have a couple of other socks in mind I want to do. I still want to do my Andrea Amari sock pattern that I purchased almost 2 years ago now. I still have not done those. I just bought her tessellated socks as well. I think she calls it like a tessellated socks. I have that I need to do. I have the yarn for it. It's all picked out, ready to go for both of those patterns, and I haven't done that. And then, so those are 2 sock patterns from Andrea Amari that I'm hoping to do sooner than later. And let's see, I have a couple of other sock patterns. I'm just like ironing where I'm like, oh, you're calling me. So my hope is to just keep casting on as many socks as possible. It's really wonderful knitting socks. I had no idea how much fun I would have doing that, and I'm having so much fun with the book and sock plan and pairing the colorway, what I'm doing, to the book I'm listening to. I think that's the other reason why I'm not really as engaged with the other socks I was initially working on, because I finished the book that I had paired with that. I have stopped listening to it. So anyway, I am going to continue working on my socks. Then I'm going to hit the hay because I plan on waking up early tomorrow to go exercise. But I thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that you have a safe and wonderful weekend.